Welcome to Enlightened, the enlightened journey of life. I am your host, Jen Hamilton, and it is an honor to have you here. I am a conscious life coach and women's empowerment mentor, and I activate a potent level of self and soul inquiry with my clients, which initiates deep and lasting transformation in all areas of their lives. I am here for the full human experience, authentically and audaciously sharing my magic with the world. On this podcast, we're all about mastering life on the way to enlightenment. And as we are here having a human experience, we might as well embrace it all. We play in the space of what is real and tangible, just as much as we play in the space of esoteric and metaphysical. You'll be ignited by deep conversation, whether through my own personal musings, interviews with incredible thought leaders around the world, and everyday divine humans sharing their soulful stories. Thank you for being on this journey. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Enlightened Podcast. I am your host, Jen, and today I am joined by a soul-led visionary and founder and CEO of Mornings Like This, Aja Vancica. Aya's magic to the world is around thought work, emotional awareness, energy, and next level self-concept shifts, and is able to help you turn your perceived flaws into your formula for freedom. Aya is an absolute ray of sunshine, and I know that you're going to love this conversation that we had. So without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome, Aja. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I am absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's my pleasure. Now you're over in Florida. How is Florida today?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, it has been very cold here. And just today, I was able to open my balcony door again. Talking about heaven. Oh, I love Florida weather, but this coldness, I moved away from all the cold in St. Louis and Atlanta. And then I come here and then it gets cold. Not okay.
Tell me what sort of like cold Florida is, because there's different parts of the states that are cold, and then there's like Brisbane cold where it's like 20 degrees Celsius and we're all freezing.
Okay, Jen. So cold for me is 65 degrees.
Okay, I'm putting that straight into Google now. So 65 degrees,
It's hot. It's going to be hot for you.
18 degrees. So 18 degrees is cold for me. I feel you. 65 degrees, your Fahrenheit. It's so confusing. Why can't we all just be on the same thing?
I
Everyone just
know,
come over
really.
to Celsius. Fahrenheit makes no sense to me. Why start 0 at 32? That's just silly.
I mean, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing with it being cold here, I call it cold, but people are like, that's not really cold. Like, I'm originally from St. Louis, and it gets like freezing, like below freezing there. So why am I complaining about 65 degrees? Like, this is what I moved to Florida for. The weather.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm the same. I live in Queensland, and like 18, so 65 degrees Fahrenheit is like a good winter's day for us. But the sun's always out. Like it doesn't rain here. Like it's just the winter is so beautiful here. Like the water, like if you go for a walk down by the bay and stuff, like it's just crystal. It's so beautiful. Like the only time it gets a bit annoying is when the winds pick up around August. We get some pretty hectic westerlies through. And that's when you know that like it's going to be freezing for a bit. Everyone's going to have the flu because of the dry wind,
Hmm.
and then it's going to be springtime and all the flowers come out and the birds stop chirping and then we get warm again.
All right, so now I'm gonna have to visit.
You're going to have to move. You're going to have to move to Australia.
Don't tell me that. No, my next move is Mexico. Jen, I really want to
Oh,
move to Mexico.
I want to move to Mexico. Mexico looks amazing. So much you could do in Mexico, like off the record.
Absolutely.
There's no
Absolutely.
judgment for the fact that you want to move to Mexico and possibly launder drugs and money. I'm not here to judge you.
That's it. That's it. That's the first thing my sister said when I told her that I wanted to move to Mexico. She's like, "But there's drug dealers there." I'm like, "Yes, drug dealers here too."
Yeah. There's drug dealers everywhere.
everywhere.
Tell us about the work that you do. You're a soul-led visionary, founder and CEO of Mornings Like This. Tell us all about the incredible magic that you bring into this world.
I'm really excited to talk about all of the things. I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur, so mornings like this is actually just one of my businesses. It is a bespoke boutique that I offer candles and beautiful towels and accents for your home. Absolutely. I'm a home decor enthusiast, okay, with my little pineapples and stuff back there. You can see my house a little bit over there. I love home decor. I love environments. Like to me, your environment is the path of least resistance to you getting into the energy that you really want to be in, that next level of self concept that you are moving into to create all of your desires. It's just an easy ask. We are already buying like the beautiful picture that you have in your background. We're already buying the things. We're just not using them or thinking like they're actual tools to help us get into that energy, right? We're doing
I
it
love that.
anyway.
This is fascinating. I mean, I'm the same. I love sort of decor. I love nice pieces. I love things that match, but I never sort of thought about, being in the energy of it to, have an actual experience through it. Tell us how all this came
Yeah.
about for you.
So I was sitting on my couch and I was going through, I don't really know what it is that I really want to do in my business. Being multi-passionate, you get told a lot of things that aren't quite useful for you being multi-passionate. And I'm an introvert and I'm a manifesting generator. So I've
I
got
was gonna
all
say
of
you're a manifesting generator. I'm the same. Multi-passionate sums us up well. I call it shiny squirrel syndrome. Um, but multi-passionate entrepreneur, I like that. That
yeah,
feels better than just I'm a squirrel that likes
I'm a
shiny things.
squirrel. Yes, yes, I feel that very much. And some of the things that we're taught and the strategies for building a business and creating content, even and courses and all these things, like it just doesn't fit with us. So one of the things I did when I sat my ass on my couch with my journal and my pen and just was trying to just like, I don't know what it is I'm supposed to be doing, is that I decided that, well, what if I got to just really do my business the way that I really wanted to? What would that look like? Well, it would look like a membership. So I have a Soul-Led Visionary membership. And then it would look like mornings like this, which is my bespoke boutique. It would look like me connecting with people that I call MEMS, multi-passionates, introverts, manifesting generators,
Yes,
and
I'm not
helping.
introvert though. I'm wildly extroverted, so I'm out of the club.
Well, it's not all three. I'm all three, but you can be one or the other, or a
Okay, I'm in.
combination, right?
I'm a multi-passionate manifesting generator.
Yes, multi-passionate, manifesting generator. But I'll tell you, I just found out the other day that there are four different levels of like or categories of introvertedness, and you can have like you can fall into two of the categories or three. And one of the ones they talked about was um the social introvert. All right,
No.
I'm a social introvert, meaning I can social, like it's okay for me to be social, but I'd rather be home by myself. Like I'd rather just be alone, but I can social. And then the other one was talking about being a person who is just really of a thinking mind. But I think that manifesting generators just naturally are thinking people anyway. So I don't know. Maybe you're a they say this doesn't exist, but maybe you're an extroverted introvert.
I'm just yeah, whatever the label is, I'm all about. But the thing is, I also go through phases. Like I can be very introverted sometimes. Like if I'm going through a process with something, if I've just recently come out of a ceremony and I'm doing some integration, if I'm like going through stuff and things, I'm like, everybody off you fuck. Like I just want to be alone. So I
Absolutely.
totally get it. Like I think it definitely comes in waves. I totally agree with you though about what you said about, all the things happening in the head. Like I'm a Virgo. I've got 1,000 tabs open in
So
my
am
brain
I.
anyway. There you go. When's your birthday?
August 25th.
I'm August 27th. Oh my God, look at us.
August Virgo too.
I
So
found
us
my
Virgos
Florida
are just
twin.
different.
There you go. So yes, Virgo, yeah, manifesting generator, you feel me. Like all of the tabs open, everything's color
Yes.
coded, everything's in alphabetical order, and there's music coming from somewhere.
Yes. People think I'm crazy because I have to have something going on, and sometimes I'll shut off what I'm listening to if I have to think, but most of the time I've got something going on. A
Mhm.
podcast, like your awesome podcast, or just I've gotten into Ariana Grande lately. Like I don't know, just like
Oh, I
all of
love me.
the playlist is just like I just listen to it. I'm sure my neighbors hate me because I sing.
Doesn't matter. That's their problem.
Y'all heard that? That's what she said. Y'all told
Yeah.
them.
Listen to the Aussie on the other side of the screen. Oh, I love it. I love it. So, your areas of magic, tell us about those. Like, obviously, you're like multi-passionate, entrepreneur, doing all of these incredible things. Tell us about the actual magic that you bring through. What is it how do you bring it forward? How do you inspire people, through the work that you do, through, living this inspired, aligned life and having beautiful things in their home and beautiful decor and lovely towels? How do you do this?
Well, it all starts with your desires, right? With
Mhm.
everything that we do, especially as men's, as manifesting generators, as multi passionate entrepreneurs, it really all starts with our desires. So, really being able to look at getting down to the truth of what it is that you truly, truly desire and uncovering a lot of times we don't really have a clue as to what it is that we really desire, especially as a multi-passionate. We've got so many different ideas and things that we want to do, and so really discovering, well, what is it that I really want to do? It really isn't about like not doing the ideas, but what feels good in the moment. That's a hard one for us to follow a lot of times
That
because
is so
when we
hard.
talk that we can do that, it's the wrong thing
Mhm.
for you to do. You have strategies, got to be planning for a year, 5 years, all these things. When really for us, it's really about what feels good in the moment. And then looking at, well, who do I need to be? All of our decisions are made from the space of who we believe we are or who we believe we're not. So it's all about that thought. Who are we being in the moment of decision? And really being able to look at, okay, these are the results that I've created or I want to create. And then looking back to, well, what actions did I take? What was I feeling? And what were the thoughts that actually kicked it all off? And again, our thoughts are always coming back to who was I being in the moment? Was I actually connected and calibrated to my next level self concept, that identity that actually has the desires and have already accomplished them, and then making my decisions from there? Girl, let me tell you, I suffered for years from imposter syndrome and comparisonitis. Womp, womp, womp.
I'm here for the sound effects.
Yeah, like seriously, like I was just it kept me from actually really making the money. Like I made some good money last year, trying to move out of the imposter syndrome, and I really started to click then exactly why I was like so like deep in it. It was just like holding me down, and it was because I wasn't following my desires. It's like when you are like following your desires, you basically it's like you are like a kid in school, like you've got your head down, like you're so excited about your own stuff that you don't really have time to look at what everybody else is doing. Or even if you do see it, it's like, oh, that's good. Okay, and I'm going to keep on going over here. And I think that that was the major difference in for me. And that's what I teach my students in my membership is, okay, let's really look at what it is that you want to do right now. Like, what is soul calling you to do right now? When I say soul, I'm talking about God, Yahweh, Allah, Jesus, higher self, source, your
Universe.
inner guidance, universe, whatever you want to call it. I say soul. So, what is soul guiding you to do right now? And then let's calibrate to you being the person who has that particular goal, because that's when we decide, okay, this is what I want, then the only thing that's left to do is the follow. So that's what my magic is helping people see what's not working as a
Mhm.
manifesting generator, like 3-5 manifesting generator. That's my lane of genius. Is here's what's not, here's what doesn't work. Let's look at what does.
Yeah, I love
I love
that.
it.
And that you are speaking directly to my soul with this because I've always got so much on the go, because there is so many pieces that, like, moving parts in my life and my business, which I actually thrive on, which
Yes.
I genuinely love it. I love podcasting. I love, also hosting a membership. I love seeing one-on-one clients. I love doing group programs. I love running retreats. I love having day events. I love doing events and workshops. Like, I love being a mum. I don't love making school lunches, but I love being a partner. I love, having a dog. I love having a house to take care of. I love cooking. I love my family. I love my friends. You know what I mean? Like, I love all of it.
Yes.
Have such a full life, but it has to, for me, I have to make a conscious effort to sit in, sacred ceremony with my soul, to
Hmm.
check in and be like, hey, there's a lot going on. Let's come back to basics. Are you living in alignment with the person that you're desiring to be?
Yes.
What is working, what is not working? It's taking that radical self-responsibility to check in often and say, am I being who I want to be in this world? And if not, where is there room for growth? Literally before we got on this call, I was doing some journaling around this. I was
Oh
just
my
doing a
gosh.
end of week check in. I was checking in with myself. It's like, hang on, am I saying that I want these things and doing literally nothing to move towards them because my
Right.
life is full? What needs to change accordingly? What needs to shift? Where are my priorities sitting? So I find, I get my answers through self inquiry on
Hmm.
how to do it. I mean, I'm a coach. I ask people the questions anyway. So if I'm not asking myself the questions, then I'm a shit coach. But
Exactly.
what is it? If someone's sort of listening to this going, I don't even know where to start with this. My life is so full. My brain is so scattered. I want to be over here, but I'm not there yet. Right. I know what I want, but I don't know the steps to get there. Where do they even start with this? Especially if they're a bit of a scatterbrain or multi-passionate purpose people like us.
Well, I would say exactly what you just said about journaling. Journaling is just like the bomb.com. It's everything. It really helps to uncover your truth and really like dig down in the trenches of what's really going on. And journaling, of course, can be done in so many different ways. I always ask people to start with if nothing was wrong, if no one would be mad, what would you be doing for your business? What would that look like? What if you had complete faith that whatever it is that you wanted to do would actually happen? What would that look like? And for them to just journal on that, like just for the entire week, like not bringing in any other journal prompts, just keep looking at it, keep adding to it, keep just allowing your brain to be set to the side and just get back in touch with your heart space, with your soul, and just allow yourself to write and see what comes up. A lot of times, what comes up is actually the very truth of what it is that we really, really want to do and want to be and want to have. We just don't really know exactly that that's what it is that we want. And then after that, after you actually see what's on paper as to what it is that you really want, I've had people tell me that, oh, they decided that they wanted to do some writing or they wanted to do some speaking, and they never even knew that that was a possibility for them. Just like for me, I never even thought, like really, I never thought that I could even have an online shop, with home decor things. It never crossed my mind. It's something that I love to do. Like it's just a naturally inclined thing to do was actually something I can do for a business. And so when we do that, when we answer those types of, I call them frequency upgrades, because it allows you to really dig down and see the truth of really what's in your soul. Then you answer those, it really allows you to see what's possible for you and really what the truth is. I think we just generally don't really have an idea like what it is that we truly are wanting, because we see all the things online and what the coaches and everybody is telling us that we're supposed to want, and we see the lifestyles of everybody. We think that we want those things, but like I don't have a coaching like a traditional coaching business. I don't really do one-on-ones except for in my membership. It does come with it's like a hybrid. It comes with um, an access to the Valley app where they can ask me questions on. It's kind of like Boxer, but it's Boxer on steroids. I really love it. But I never would have um, really been able to say, okay, well, I don't really want to coach in the traditional way. I actually don't really call myself a coach. I teach tools. I teach tools. I teach journaling. I teach breath work. I teach um, uh, just whatever it is that I'm using, um, just even visualization, whatever it is that I'm using, that's what I teach. And I'll allow my students to tweak those things and work it the way that they need to work it, and or completely revamp it to be their own. But I wouldn't have known any of that had I not answered those questions. And so that's why I'm talking this. Again, if no one would be upset, if you would not make anyone mad, if you could know that whatever it is that you wanted to do, you would actually do it, like what would that be? Just what would it be? And a lot of those things are going to be what we are just naturally inclined to do. And that's the best thing ever. I got this thing over here. You probably don't know if you can see it, but it looks like a little shaggy dog, but it is actually, what do you call it? Latch. I just started learning that just last night. I only have two people that want to buy one, and I'm not even for sure how to do it totally yet. But people, when you start to really just follow your desires, and then that's what happens. You just allow your desires to be the thing that leads you.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned, like, being able to use your imagination, because using your imagination, well, it's that is the basis of everything. That is the basis of all manifestation.
It
And
is.
one of the things I've realized, through my entrepreneurial journey and, manifesting, having a business, doing business coaching, is that the part that we get stuck on is we get so caught up on the how it's going to happen and whether it's possible, and ultimately underneath all of that is actually worthiness. It's like, am
Yes.
I actually worthy? Like, there is, because when we go into our subconscious mind and we realize all of these belief systems that we have and all these conditions that were put on us and all of the things, especially that we learned as children, like, oh no, businesses aren't safe, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to work hard to get this, like all of the deeply ingrained belief systems that we've just taken on board from literally everywhere in our lives, especially through those early imprinting ages, we form these belief systems that say that we can't, that's not even possible, that'll happen for the Joneses but it can't happen for the
Yes.
Hamiltons, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't live in the nicest suburb, or we don't, we can't have that, we're not the type of people that would go on those types of holidays or have those businesses, or whatever the story is. And
Yep.
for me in my journey, it's been really like unraveling all of those conditions, because we can have all the imagination that we want to, and it's fun to play in that imagination. But then in comes like the little ego, which is, the voice of the subconscious, which is where all of the programming is, that says, you really think you can have that, you dickhead? Well, mine does anyway. That's not possible. Um, and so it's, it's moving through those terror barriers. It's moving through the things that say that you can't have them or that that's not possible. Tell us about that in your journey.
Oh my gosh, I think that that's like where all the imposter syndrome and comparisonitis. It was also a lot of um, what is it that you said? It was oh yeah, you're not worthy. Like you can't really do that. Like just there's a lot of that. There's a lot of "Mm, they can do that, but I can't." And I remember one night, like I was just sitting in my bed and I was just thinking about like, oh, what is the problem here? And a lot of what I found is it came down to shame. I
Mm,
was ashamed that I didn't have whatever that thing was that these people had that were allowing them to have the impact and the income and the independence that I really wanted to have. And I'm like, well, I don't have this thing. Like after like I could stop on digging down. Like, well, what is it? What is the problem? I don't have this thing. Well, what is the thing that they have? And I'm like, I don't know what the thing is that they have. Like I'm sitting in my bed talking to myself like out loud. I probably had an Aussie accent at the time as well. I'm talking to myself and I'm like, okay, well, what if you don't need that thing? Maybe what if they needed the thing that they had so that they could succeed, but you need a different thing. And that thing that I felt like I needed when I really got really deep down and dirty, like sitting in my bed, like with the ugly cries, like, was not, I just needed to follow my own desires. And they can have the thing that they needed for them to be successful, but that's not the thing that I need to be successful. And when I really got clear on that, it actually really, really helped me to start following my desires and really get out of imposter syndrome and stop, comparing myself to where everybody is on their journey. And it was a lot. Girl, I'm telling you, it was a lot in my bedroom. It was a lot going on in my bedroom, and it wasn't a good kind of a lot of stuff going on.
Bedrooms are great, aren't they? There's just so much happening behind closed doors. And that, do you know what? As much as it's uncomfortable at the time, a good ugly cry is like so healing because if you're out of alignment and if you're feeling discombobulated enough to just completely lose your shit, it's showing you where there is room to just adjust because something is not working for you. And
Yeah.
I celebrate it. I celebrate the breakdown because I know that the breakthrough is coming. And I'll say to my partner, I'm like, pass me a towel. I'm throwing it in. I'm done with it all. And he's like, okay, babe, what do you need? Like he knows, he kind of knows how to work through it now with me. But it's so true because there is a part of us that, as we go through that frequency upgrade, there's parts of us that have to die with that because it's an
Yep.
old way of being. And I know this in my own gen. I don't know if it's a manifesting generator thing, a Virgo thing, or just a Jen's doing crazy shit thing. But, there are going to always be upgrades for me and changes. And as this new level of me opens up, as another, layer of the onion comes off, there I am, stripped bare going, this is not working in the
Yeah.
capacity that I desire it to be. What does it look like to move forward with what I do desire from this place that I am? Then I will go and pursue that. And then it will shift again. It's cyclical. I mean, if we just looked outside and turned to nature to realize that, first of all, we are nature, that we have to go through our seasons and cycles as well, then we'd probably stop being so fucking hard on ourselves, to be honest.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I mean, all of the shit things that we say to ourselves about ourselves, horrible, horrible, horrible. I heard someone say the other day, it's just like it's just abuse. Just straight up
It is.
abuse.
It is. I
Oh,
always say, like, because, I do a lot of inner child work, with my clients and stuff as well. I'm like, would you speak to a little girl like that? And it's like, no. I'm like, all right, would you speak to your best friend like that? No. I'm like, well, what the fuck are you doing? Bit
exactly.
of
Yes.
tough love. Bit of tough
Right,
love, but
exactly.
it's so true. Like we just dropped the ball at some point in our life where we went from, not having a care in the world to just doing what we want, saying what we wanted to say, asking for what we want. And then
Yes.
all of a sudden, like abandoning our own desires, abandoning our needs, putting other people first or, believing that we couldn't have something. And that's, that is life. That's evolution essentially. It's
I
just that we
I was
have
telling
the
my
tools.
15-year-old that the other day. I
Yeah.
mean, he literally harasses me. Like he will ask and ask and ask and ask. He has no problems with that. Like what
Yeah.
happened? Like exactly what you were saying. What happened to us? Well, we don't have
Yeah.
that anymore.
No, like I think there's things in society and in our culture, in our family systems, in all of the systems essentially that we exist in. There's these expectations, for you to be a certain way. Like I remember when I first got a job. I think I was like 14 or 15. I started working at our local corner shop. It was the best thing ever, and it was like mum hit me up for board board money basically straight away. It's like $50 a week. It's like, calm down. I've just started making money. But, there was this level of responsibility, and then, from such an early age, having to do chores around the house. And it's great because it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot about,
Right.
how to care for a house, how to, have responsibilities, how to prioritize, the things that have to be done, how to pay your bills, all that kind of stuff. But I felt that I just grew up so quickly, and then I actually left school when
Mm,
I was 15. I dropped out in like grade 11 here. And so that's like senior high over there. And I dropped out because I wanted to work full time. I had the opportunity to go and work as a dental assistant. And I fell in love with making money. Like I love that, all my friends were going through school, and we have this thing at the end of year 12 called schoolies, where you can go and party at the Gold Coast for a week. And like, that's where you sort of, if you haven't already been introduced to it, that's where like alcohol comes into it, and
Mm.
parties and stuff like that. And so I didn't actually go to schoolies. I was paying for my first car with cash when all of my friends were off partying.
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh, this is cool." But also at the same time, I grew up very quickly, because then like because I entered the workforce so early in life,
right.
I had that step ahead. By the time I was 17, I started working for a publishing firm where I was there for about 7 years. But, I'd already had the skills that were going to get me into the door as the director's PA. I already
Wow.
had these credentials, and I loved it, and I was able to, flow through my career in such a different way to people that had gone through school. But there was this expectation that I had from such an early age,
Yeah.
looking back now going, "Oh gosh, I was still just a baby then," but at the same time, I followed my desire, and, I'm so glad my parents were on board. I said to them, I said, "I'm not loving school. I really want to leave." And this is back in the day when you could. And my options were get a real job or, study something. And so
Yeah.
my mum was just like, "You can't be a checkout chick." So a checkout chick here is like you can't just work at a store as the
Right.
cashier. And she's like, "You need to like do something proper, like you need to learn something." So I went and worked for a specialist dental clinic, and I did a traineeship in dental nursing, and very quickly sort of moved up the ranks
Ooh.
there. I was like turning 17, and they wanted to offer me a role as like head nurse because I'd been there for so long. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, like it was something that I actually thrived on doing. But and I was working full time, but I kept my weekend job as well. So I was working 6 days a week because I didn't want to give up my part-time job at the corner shop, because I actually just really loved it. um, I got to go there, and I got to work, and I got like a free bag of chips and a drink every time. Like,
It was
why
fun.
wouldn't you?
Fun with pay.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think, I really, from such an early age, in those teen years, I established this way of being that, okay, so working really hard makes me the money. I get to have this money. I get to, live on my own, rent on my own. I get to, buy all my nice things. I had my car. I get to do all of those things, but it takes hard work. And so it was ingrained into me, hard work,
Right.
hard work, hard work, hard work.
Hmm.
And then unraveling that as I got older, going, hang on a second, there are people out there that make a shitload of money and they don't work hard. How is this even
Exactly.
possible?
Yeah.
And so really having to dive into those belief systems and unravel all of the pieces of proof, because we're creatures of proof as humans. Like, we
Yes.
thrive on having proof. And so if we've got proof of something, it creates a sense of safety for us. And that's what we will
Exactly.
go up. And so I had all this proof that this is how it's done. And so the almighty unraveling of my life and belief systems has been a journey. And in some areas of my life, it's still a journey.
Of course. Yeah. Like you said, we're ever evolving.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Tell me about like people connecting to their souls, God, universe, Allah, Jesus, source, copy paste, whatever. It's insert whatever you need to in here. I love that you use soul. It's so funny. I've always used universe because I was completely disconnected from the idea of God through growing up Catholic, and just like some like deep, like I wouldn't say wounds, it's not a wound, like just sort of some like deep conditioning around God. And it's only recently, like literally last year, I started working with a business coach, and we've been like working with the concept of God. And I run programs on the goddess. I'm fine with the goddess. It's the God that had like sort of that masculine figure in my life that I had so much stuff around, because like God is watching you, God is judging you. And so I had so much stuff around God. So I'm like, okay, everybody, I'm just going to use universe. And I'm only reintegrating the word God back into my life now. And it's still a bit of like a, oh, moment.
I know.
But I love soul. I use higher self and I use goddess self. And universe. Like universe just feels good. Or multiverse. Like, let's not just make it one. It's
Multiverse.
multiverse.
Ooh.
How do people connect with soul, God, universe if they haven't had the opportunity to connect with them, but they're listening to us going, yeah, I want a piece of that pie. Where do we even start connected into that?
Well, believe it or not, I'm Muslim, and so I use the term Allah, and but it was the term Allah. Well, when I pray in the traditional Islamic ways, I do use Allah. But when I was really going through developing a relationship with God, Allah, wherever you it didn't feel like natural to me to say Allah. It felt more natural to say soul. And what I picture is is soul being God and then soul being me. So it's like I have like your sacral area, like in your you can't see my hands, but it's like here in your sacral area down there. It's like that's where I feel like our soul is, and it's connected to God, and it's like a rope. And so we get to hear or experience or feel, um, see whatever it is. It's almost like what do you call it? The psychic stuff where you clairvoyance and
Claire's
clairaudience.
yep,
Mhm.
declares.
So it's like all of that, whatever it is that you feel or see or do or whatever in that sense, that is your connection to soul. And it's just like if you can picture, remember those they have like those cans with the rope and you're supposed to be able to that's what I picture in my head. It's just like
Can't unsee that now, and I love it.
it's for us is like our soul is connected to soul. So we get to feel that in our bodies and in whatever that sense is of that clair. We get to just know that it is soul's guidance. And one of the things that I really started to do was really just recognize what that looks like for me, because not everybody has the same thing, right? One of my friends, she's actually, she's a friend now. She's an ex-client. She's a psychic, and she just gets kind of like visions. I don't get visions. I don't get visions. I have a knowing, and
Mm,
it's not like so much like a gut resonance. It's just I know things that I feel like I shouldn't know because I've never studied it before or I've never, it's just a knowing. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. That takes practice to learn to trust. So I would say to people who don't have that connection to God, to soul, is really whenever you're doing the things that you're naturally inclined to do, desire equals pleasure. And that's always God. That's always soul. That's always universe. So whenever you're doing those things, it just feels so, so good to you. That's your connection
yes.
right there. That's when you're most open to receiving that guidance and you can feel that juiciness in your body of how good it feels to do the things that you just naturally do that you just don't look at as a tool for connecting to the higher power of your understanding, but that's what it is. So
Mm,
whatever desire it is that you have, whatever that thing is that you are naturally inclined to do, that's you being connected to source, to soul, to God, when you're feeling that, when you're in that energy, when you're in that frequency, that's your connection. And you get to know that, you get to lean on that, you get to really work on that trust that this is what it is. And when you are open to, when you feel that, that's when you're most open to receive. And you're going to start getting those downloads and noticing and recognizing and trusting that that's just soul's guidance.
I love that, and it's so true, like, the desire equals the pleasure point, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a sexual pleasure, it absolutely can be because pleasure is pleasure, right? Pleasure is a frequency, and if
Hmm.
we lead from our pleasure, and it could be in the food that you eat.
Yes.
Like you ever go to the fridge and you see one thing and then like you see something else and your eyes light up. You're like, oh my God, there's the figs and the mangoes. Like, like you just figs and mangoes do it for me. Or papaya. Oh my gosh, I'm just obsessed with papaya. That's my pleasure point. But if I went to the pantry and there was like a plain pack of water crackers, I'm like, that's not pleasurable. But if I can like get like some delicious fruit into my face hole, then I'm just like, that's pleasurable to me.
Something
But
as simple for me is just like opening my balcony door, which I'm able to do now because it's the
mm,
warm weather. It's just it's just like I just love it here. I have a beautiful view of the pond and the ducks and stuff. They're always there, and it's just like, oh, this feels so good. Even
yeah.
that's not anything major. It's just a little pond with a view with some ducks, and it feels good. I
Mm.
think we take for granted that these little things that we even just it feels good for me to clean my house and sit in that nice clean house with all my pretty things.
Oh,
I
it's the
say
best
this about
feeling.
myself. It's like I'm a lover of simplicity and coffee and pretty things. And by the way, I think that you are a pretty thing.
Oh, oh, you.
Pretty thing. Girl, it's a pretty thing.
Making me blush, girl.
But we take those things for granted, things that we just that naturally make us feel good.
Yeah.
It's
I drink
pleasure.
ceremonial cacao instead of coffee these days. So I
Hmm.
have a big cup of ceremonial cacao, and that's my connection with
Mm.
self, with the medicine of cacao, with
Yeah,
life. Like it just kind of gets me going to be like, ah, yes, it's a new day. I get to follow my desires. And I've gotten really good at creating boundaries around, things that either drain my energy or, if something's not a full body fuck yes, it's a no for me. I
yeah.
mean, other than taxes, because you still got to pay those and they're not a full body fuck yes. But that's the thing, like the more we add in the things that bring us pleasure and joy and happiness, is that not the point of life, to experience all of these things? And the more that we like, it doesn't have to cost money. It can literally be walking outside, putting your feet on the earth, feeling the cold breeze or feeling the rain on you, or just hugging a tree, or, just, yeah, sitting
Or
inside. It
listening
could
to a
just
duck quack.
ducking, yeah, ducking, listening to a duck quack.
Ducking.
But this is the thing, like we've complicated our lives with the stuff and the things. We've complicated our lives with having to work and go here, meet this person, do the thing, have this, be this, work so hard for that. And look, sure, society has changed so much in the last few decades where there is a lot more pressure on us, and we are so focused and so looking to the outer world for, that instant gratification when
Yes.
everything that we need is already inside of us. And it's
Hmm.
only when, through my experience, that we go inwards, that we have, this resonance with God, Allah, Jesus, universe, whoever, and within ourselves. It's when we consciously make the effort to sit down and say, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes with my can on the string, connecting to source, listening for the messages to come through. And I'm open to receive. What does that look like? Listening to those things, trusting those downloads to come in. If nothing comes in, then that's okay too. There's not a space to judge it or make it wrong.
Right.
But then going,
That.
especially in
Mhm.
business, like in my business, I follow the pleasure. I'm like, what feels good? I went to write an email, to my mail list. This was back in December. And I sat there, I'm like, I'm fucking over all the emails that just come out. It's just copy. It's like blah, 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 blah by my program. And I'm like, what do I want to receive? How would I like to be communicated to? And literally the download came through and I was like, make it like a magazine. And I was literally just going to do like
Yeah.
a magazine cover. I ended up creating like a whole magazine that I wrote articles. I wrote all this stuff around the topics that I'm doing in my membership. I put like little, like a little Sudoku game, a little find a word thing, like
Okay, but
some
what did you
self
use
inquiry
to make your
things.
magazine?
Just Canva,
Do
just
you
Canva.
okay, you're gonna freak out. Okay, I made a magazine too. Mornings
Oh,
Like This
wow.
actually has a okay, all right. Now I'm getting all crazy. Okay, so let me calm down. Let me calm down. Okay. I found this through Canva and it's called Hazing and it's only like $89 a year. You can make a full magazine where people can like click the button to turn the pages. It's got links in there. You can put links in there. You can put videos in there. Yes, write it down. Hazing.
How do you spell it?
Heyzine. And you got found it on Canva. You know Canva has all those little if you click the more button like you're gonna print something out
Yeah.
or
It's like an
whatever,
extra
then
app.
Yes, and they have all those different apps. I found it in there. Girl,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Tell us, what does it mean? Like you talk about so much about desire and connecting to our desire. What does it mean to become an energetic match with your desires?
Oh my gosh. This has been something that I've spent years just leaning into because to me it's really hard because it's all mindset. It's all like looking at your brain. So to me, for me, what becoming an energetic match is and what it looks like is you looking at what it is that you want to create, whatever your desires are. We are at a level right now where we're not able to create that thing. If we were already there, if we were already an energetic match, we already have. So we literally have to uh, be the person who has that particular thing. It doesn't matter whatever the thing is, whatever the desire is, it requires us to upgrade to be that. So really what the upgrade is really all about, it doesn't matter if you're doing soul work and then move into thought work or thought work and then move into soul work. Soul work, they all are going to be connected and point to each other. So what I mean by that is if you have a goal, you have a desire that you want to create, then you have to literally look at what are your thoughts going on about that particular desire. Do you think that you can have it? Like you said, I'm not the type of person who can have it. All these thoughts that are going on in our head, they create energy. And so we are making our decisions from that space. We're taking action or not taking action, and action is an action. Or we're creating habits and behaviors from these thoughts of who am I to have that? Or I'm not the type of person. Or again, it comes back to the identity, right? The self concept. So when we start to look at our thoughts, like this to me, this has been the hardest thing. It's been the most amazing gift, but it has been hard, is really being able to look at those thoughts and see how they are actually creating the results. You have this desire over here. What are you thinking that's creating the feeling, that's driving the action, that's creating the results? You have to change what it is that you're thinking in order to create a different result. So we literally have to, instead of make our decisions from the space of the brain that, oh my gosh, like I don't have that. Like, I don't know. Everything's so bad. Instead of making our decisions from there, we have to go to that desire and be in the energy of, oh, what it feels like to actually have that. And what kind of thoughts do I need to have in order to feel the way I need to feel, in order to drive me to do the actions, the inspired actions, as they say. What do I need to think first? Who do I need to be? What is the self concept and the identity that I need to be in? That is raising your level of self concept to be that energetic match. That doesn't mean it's going to happen that day, but the more and more you practice it, then the more and more you just become that person, and then the next thing you know, you have it. But you have to become that person before you can have that thing. It just doesn't work any other way. People think that,
Mm,
oh, when I have the goal, then I'll become the person. It doesn't work that way. You have to become the person who has the thing before you can have the thing.
mhm,
So that's to me. That's what I've been working on, and it's been it's been one of the hardest things. But it's when you do your self coaching and you look at your thoughts and you're connected to those desires, which the desires for me is all about the soul work. It's all about the visualization and the breathing and the getting into your body and connecting with how do all the things feel in my body. That's the soul work. And then the thought work, this we don't use our brains to make decisions. We make the decisions from our body and stuff, how we're feeling. And then we use our brains to analyze that. It's like, oh, okay, well, I feel this way because I created this result because. So we use our brain for analyzing. We use our body for discernment and decision making. So it all starts with who it is it that you need to be. Like, so this is a sign for crazy people. I understand that, but this is I'm using for brain. Loco, loco. Yes, the brain. It all starts up here in the brain. I don't know why I do that. I do that all the time. What are you thinking?
it looks like you're winding yourself up. I'll see. If you guys are only listening to this, you have to go and check out the YouTube video so you can see all of the mannerisms and all of the all of the actions to go with the words. I love it. If someone's sitting there going, "Yeah, cool story, bro. Like that's all well and good, but I want to be a millionaire, but I've got $10.50 in my bank account." But I want to be in the mindset to be a millionaire, but I don't have the yacht and I don't have the Camilla clothing and I don't have the this and I don't have the convertible. What are you going to say to them? Like if they literally don't know how to be in that $1 million mindset, but they want it, they desire it, they're following their pleasure point going, that would feel fucking lovely. What would you say to them? Because there is going to be this lack mindset that comes in that says, hang on a second, that's all well and good, but I don't have that because I'm not there yet.
Well, I would say this, being a multi-passionate entrepreneur last year, I created six figures in one business and over 11K in one in another business with a wobbly ass mind. It's very wobbly over here. It's like a baby gazelle that's just born on its legs trying to stand up. You better hurry up, you better get on your feet because the predators are coming. You better. My brain is very wobbly. So it's not that you can't create. It's just that it's almost like a scale where you like the Lady Liberty scale where you have all of your thoughts that are not so great here that are creating these and this actions that aren't really leading to the result. And then you have these thoughts over here that are like pretty good and they are creating the feelings and the actions and actually leading to the results that you want. You don't have to let go of all of the thoughts that aren't helpful. You just have to have a little bit more on your scale over here to weigh to make it a little bit uneven. But it starts with cultivating beliefs. Like what I need to believe to get me there may not be what you need to believe. And it's just like, I got a lot of analogies. It's like trying to flow. You have to find the piece of clothing that actually fits you. And that's the same thing for a belief. You don't have to believe right now that you're going to make $1 million. You can believe, well, what can I do right now? What is it that I need to believe right now? Because it could be that you just need to go and create a post. Maybe I can create a post. Maybe I can't make $1 million today, but what can I do to get me towards that? What is the belief I need right now in the moment to help me start working towards that? And so you have the belief of I can go out and I can create two posts today. So you go and create the post. Then that's a quick win and that's an energy. And it's just like, oh, look what I did. I did it. And then you have belief that, oh, I can do that. Then you grow another belief, you cultivate another belief of maybe it's the next day. It's like, well, what can I do today? It's really just stacking. And
Mm.
the beliefs that you have today may not be the beliefs that you need tomorrow or even in the next hour. It really is about, well, what's going on in your brain. So you get to work towards that $1 million mindset, little belief at a time. Just belief stacking. Stack up the beliefs. They're gonna get there.
Stack it up, girl. Stack it, stack it, stack it. I love it. And one of the things, like I'm all about the belief stacking, but also like really getting clear on what the beliefs are that are deeply ingrained in there that aren't serving you. You can do that through hypnosis, you can do it through journaling, you can do it through talk therapy, you can do it through listening to this podcast, listening to all the gold nuggets that we have provided today, going, there's that thing, that something resonates with you and something just clicks for you. And I can't even remember when it was, how it was, but I remember a little while ago thinking, okay, yeah, that the millionaire mindset, you know, and I was asking myself, I'm like, how would I show up if I was making millions
Mhm.
of dollars a year, multi-millions of dollars a year? How would I speak to people? What kind of food would I be eating? What clothes would I be wearing? How would I hold myself differently? Would I show up to the world differently? And how can I create from that space? So
Yes.
putting myself in the shoes of someone, like not necessarily, getting on the private jets just yet, you know, um, not necessarily having the chef and the masseur and the pool boy named Sven just yet. But what would that feel like? From the place of imagination where and ultimately, like when we tap into our imagination, we're tapping into the quantum field where, the quantum field is where all things are possible,
Hmm.
and the quantum field, like quantum science says that there is a version of you living every possible infinite reality
Yep.
simultaneously. Like that
Hmm.
shit I love, and that shit blows my mind, and I
I
fucking
learned
love
that
playing
from
quantum
Doctor
field.
Strange.
Yes, there you go. There you go. I learned it from
Okay.
Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Joe. But this is the thing, like I even if like quantum science is science, right? And so I know that there's a lot of people that are very sort of like Newtonian science, physics and all that kind of stuff that says like
Hmm.
it's just not possible. However, there is proof that it is possible. And it's, there's people are building quantum computers at the moment. There's so many things that we're starting to understand about the quantum field, and I would rather play in the space that all things are possible than
Yep.
live in the lack mindset that says this equals that, or that, cause and effect. I would rather, effect and cause.
Yeah.
That we can play in these different dimensions, we can play in these different spaces, that we can play in the space of manifestation. Because at the end of the day, if we want to manifest something, if we want to bring something into fruition, we're going to have to believe unwavering that it's possible. We we live in this we have lived in this old paradigm of I have to see it to believe it. Now we know that if we deeply believe it, then we will see it. And the
See it.
more it
Hmm.
happens, the more you do it, the more it shows up in your life, the more you're like, holy shit, it works.
Yes. Yes. Amen
Mm.
to all of that. I
All
love
of
it.
that,
Ooh,
all of
girl,
that.
it's so good. Like, this is an
I
amazing tool that you have right here for people. This podcast is a tool. They should
It
use
is.
it. It's
It is.
amazing.
I love podcasting. Like this is one of the things that absolutely lights me up. I will literally do it any time of the day. I will talk to multiple people in a day. I will do post-production for hours in a day if I had to. I truly love it. And not only because I get to bring other people's magic forward, and other people like literally everywhere around the world. Like we're like literally a couple of months in at the moment, and we've got like there's hundreds of downloads. We're in so many different countries around the world. And it's incredible because it is a platform where, first of all, it's uncensored, which I love. And I can connect with people like yourself and so many other people to just hear their magic. The listeners can hear their magic, but I take so much away from it as well. Like there's definitely the soulfully selfish aspect of this, where it's like, wow, I'm learning so much along the way, and it's making me a better person. Therefore, I get to show up differently in my own life and towards my clients and the people I come into contact with. And I'm so
Absolutely.
grateful for having you on the show. I would love to, I mean, we could literally talk for hours. Um, I'd love to hear from you. Like, so I'd obviously like we'll link to everything in the show notes. How do people find you, join your membership if they're in the state? Or do you mornings like this? Is that an internationally shipping company, or is it just in the
It is
States?
not.
Tell us.
It is US based only. So
Mhm.
yeah, mornings like this is US based only. My membership is on ajavancica.com. There's also, I have an amazing blog for men's on ajavancica.com. It's called Soul Guides, and I talk all about business for men's and content creation, identity, and self-concept work. The membership Soul Led Visionaries is the Soul Led Visionary Experience. You can find that on ajavancica.com. And I also just have, because I'm a multi passionate manifesting generator, I just created just the other day something that I call Office Hours with a twist. It's on the Volley app, and it is asynchronous video, audio, or written. And it's a group component with a course component with a one on one. Like you can ask questions in the group on the app, it's a phone or a computer app, or you can get your questions answered. And so I love it. Bali is just amazing. If you guys don't know about Bali, it's you gotta get on it. It's fun.
Amazing. I will link to all of that in the show notes. What is a piece of wisdom that more wisdom? We've already unlocked so much of your wisdom that you've shared, but what is a piece of wisdom that you would like to impart on our listeners today?
would like to leave with the listeners, the amazing listeners, that whatever you see as your perceived flaws, they are actually your formula for freedom and fulfillment. Use them. They're your superpowers.
I love that. That's beautiful. And one final question for you, Aja. In your view of the world, what is the meaning of life?
Pleasure,
Mm,
period. Just pleasure. Everybody, as humans, we desire pleasure in whatever that looks like for us. Pleasure.
amazing. I love it so much. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Enlightened podcast. And we will definitely have you back to dive more into all of the different parts that we can.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you love the Enlightened podcast, and the biggest compliment you can give me is subscribing to this podcast, sharing it, and leaving a rating and review. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is @JenHamiltonOfficial, and the podcast handle is enlightened_podcast. You can also find the video version on YouTube on my channel. Just search Enlightened and don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a beautiful day and enjoy living the enlightened journey of life.